everyone, welcome back to Safe Fitness Training. I just have a few quick words for beginners who are doing any type of strength training. Hey, whether you're even doing it on machines or not, the same principles really do apply. And so the biggest two pieces of advice, and there's really only two, but I'm going to break these down into like 5 or 6 sections. Two things that you need to keep in mind are stay safe at all times. This has different meanings for different people and for different injuries that you might have had over the years. And then, of course, to provide the maximum amount of effort that you possibly can. And that is not just to assure that you get all the health benefits from exercise, but that you don't have to do it every day. Because if we're only putting in maybe 50% of our maximum effort, well, we're not actually recruiting enough muscle fibers to be able to take more time off. We could do tons and tons of workouts, in the gym. We could go every other day and get to like 60% of our maximum effort, and we'd be fine. We'd probably be completely recovered from what we did, but we wouldn't be recruiting enough muscle fibers to really get in deep to gain all of those health benefits that we're after. Of course, I talk about those in other videos. This is the body being flooded with myokines that not only reverses aging, but also helps to either eliminate or mitigate 37 or more chronic illnesses. So exercise really is the answer. So if you're beginning and you don't really know where to get started, hey, how can I do a workout that's safe? All you need is some sort of gym membership. Some places it only costs like $11 a month, which is great. But I have a PDF down below. You could just download this, and it'll give you all the ins and outs of a very specific type of exercise that is the safest for all ages. Heck, I've had a 95-year-old client doing this with me. My parents are 75. They do the method. And so this is good for everybody, but it is the way to get the health benefits from exercise that we really, really want in life. So back to the whole entire video at hand here, there is this common thought process that I just want to go and move these weights around and then I've done something. And there is no real magical amount of reps that you could possibly do light weights to make it be effective. And that's why intensity matters so much, putting in as much effort as we can. I'll get a little bit more into that later, but the first important topic that I began talking about is safety. This is divided up into a lot of different groups. The biggest thing is that we don't do anything jerky, like lots of jerky movements. You see people doing repetitions like this in the gym, of course. You want to stay away from that because you actually want to feel your muscles contract. You want to get the most out of the workout, but you want to save your joints. So you want to make sure that they're not getting ripped off their connective tissue from the skeletal structure. You don't want that. So the first part is just to move slower. People doing reps like this are actually going to end up hurting themselves in the long run. Even 5 seconds is better than that quick jerky movement. Anything from 5 to 10 is actually fantastic. Some people may have to move slower to accommodate their injuries. In fact, I've had a few clients that have so many issues over the years, whether it is a surgery, a rotator cuff, something they had to get over. Some of those individuals had to do a full isometric. I say isometric. What it really is a timed static contraction. So they're just holding the weights and resisting. And it happens over the course of maybe 2 minutes. When we're unable to push those weights or hold them any further, we've gotten the most intensity out of it. That's, of course, what we're after in that moment. So all of these things are somewhat basic to what we call high-intensity strength training. It's intense. You only have to do it at most twice a week, and that is at the very most. You don't need more than 2 sessions if you're fully fatiguing your muscles. So a lot of people will hold their breath when they're doing exercise. I want you to breathe. I want you to breathe for sure, and make sure that you're maintaining good breathing through the entire process as well. Because if you hold your breath, you're going to end up injuring yourself. If you move really fast, you're going to eventually end up injuring yourself. Another thing I want you to think about is not moving around when you have weights engaged. So some people, it's very common for people to be like, I just had to readjust myself. Well, better to set the weights down first and then readjust yourself, because you can cause a serious injury, a strain, or even pull a muscle if you do that. That's one of the many reasons that we suggest that you have your core engaged while you're doing exercise. What I mean by that is just engage the stomach before you even begin pushing the weight. That'll keep you fixed in place. You won't be tempted to do this number and move around while you're pushing very heavy weights that could injure you if you make any of these fast, jerky movements in your body at all. So, again, moving the slowest you can, moving intentionally, and not jerking around while we're doing this. So moving on from there, what we know about intensity of effort now is that all of those health benefits that we get happen very close to the very end of the entire exercise. And I'll explain it like this. Dr. Henneman's size principle says very clearly, of course, that we recruit motor units from smallest to largest. And a motor unit is responsible for recruiting muscle fibers. It can be responsible for 3 or even hundreds of muscle fibers being recruited. Now, the size of the motor unit is dependent upon how many of these muscle fibers that it is responsible for. So when we say that the size principle just states we recruit motor units from smallest to largest, that means the last rep is where we're going to get the majority of those health benefits, because the more muscle fibers that are recruited, the more health benefits we get. That's the bottom line. And so what we're after is intensity of effort. If we're doing this for our health and longevity, that is the important part of the entire workout. It isn't simply magically moving weights up and down so that we can feel accomplished. It is putting forth enough effort into this exercise that we get those biological changes that we're looking for. So I hope all of this does make sense. If I had any advice for beginners in strength training, it would be everything I just told you, plus don't be afraid to move your weights up quickly during your beginner's gains, because you're going to gain a ridiculous amount of strength and ability very quickly. Just follow all of those protocols. And everything I mentioned is also in that PDF that you can have sent to your email directly. It'll just be right there for you. You'll get good tips and emails from me on how to use that in the 5 days following. And you'll hear just tons of advice that I have to give. So let my experience help you out. I've been working in this, what people would call high intensity strength training, for about 7 years now. And so I have a lot to give. Check out my offerings. They're down below. And I will see you on the next video. Have a wonderful week.